Hi, part 5 I think we are at now. Um, the I've just been test fitting the what would you call it, the canopy, the clear roof section, which incorporates all the side windows and the windscreen. And I mean, fit is pretty good. The clarity of it's fantastic. As you can see, I mean, just by looking through that, you can see the whole interior. There's nothing sort of hidden there, and even when the frames are painted, it's going to look quite visible, the interior, which is why I'm putting so much effort into building the interior. But I'm quite pleased with that that piece. I've not cleaned it up yet. There's various sort of holes in the roof section where different parts fit in. I may not be using all those parts yet, so I'm looking at those. I think I mentioned that I may look at putting a piece of tread plate on the roof. I think the kit it just says to paint the roof, because obviously it wouldn't make sense to have a glass panel in the center of the roof then walk on it. But I'll look at that and see how it looks with various configurations. But I'm going to put that to one side for a minute. So the interior, it's moved on a little. Everything's glued in place now. This section's still loose, which so I can take it out to paint. I've put a couple of supports in place to support the dashboard when that goes in, and I've also put in this bulkhead, which separates the passenger compartment from what I've decided is the cargo department at the back. There is still 2 doors either side that you can access the cargo part. One side of it's just plain styrene because the seats are going against that. The other side, I think that's showing up without too much reflection there. You can see there's some bracing on the back, like sort of struts, which just give a feeling of, it's made out of something heavier than, something, like a sort of steel or maybe aluminium bulkhead. I've also done some work underneath. The hole where the screw goes to hold the chassis on, I mean, I'm not bothered about screwing the thing together, so that hole is going to serve as the exit hole for the wiring to go into the base to power the lights. So I've drilled right through that and come out at this point, so I'll be able to send wires down through there and through into the base when I eventually build the base, and all that's got to be fed through, obviously, before the whole thing gets sealed up. So that'll quite neatly hide the wiring. Underneath as well, I've done some detail, and there was a few holes in the base where various pieces fit through from the other side. So I've covered those over with just some random bits of styrene sheet with some bolt detail in, just to, I mean, you're not really going to see any of that with the tracks in place and everything, but it's just to give an impression of something there. The other screw hole, I found this piece, which, as I said, I've got this massive box of, well, I've got boxes and boxes of spare parts. I can actually identify this piece. It comes from a Monogram 148 B29 Super Fortress. I think it's from the model where you got the option to make the Enola Gay without the turrets, and it gave you these blanking plates. So they're still knocking about in my my Spurs box. So one of those has gone into place to cover that up. But again, virtually nothing will be seen unless you were to pick the thing up. The other thing I did, this grill in the front here, I was going to put some sort of pieces behind it to make it look like machinery. You can't actually see anything through the grill. It is pierced, but it does a good job of hiding anything behind it. So what I've really just done is just put a sheet of, or a piece of black styrene in there to cover it up, so I don't have to paint it. The whole thing's going to be painted on the outside anyway, so you're not going to see anything in there. But what that will do is, if there's any very slight light leaks from the back of the instrument panel, it won't be seen through the grille. The other grille is there. That's a similar treatment behind it, because again, you can't see very much through it. And so that's pretty much ready to paint now. There's still some mounting holes in this for parts for the the normal kit build. I've not decided yet what's happening there, so I can always cover those over later once I've decided on the stowage in the back. What I did do is the two seats that came from the Mini Cooper. I built like a small section to mount them on, with just some little girder sections underneath, and they sit quite neatly against the back wall there. I'm going to detail these with seat belts and such like, possibly put something down either side of them. I may put something in the center as well, like some kind of little control panel or something. But it seems like a natural place to have it. The door is here, so you'd sort of step in and you'd either go into the front of the vehicle or you'd sit there. So that makes for quite a sort of compact looking vehicle. Possibly it could have had 3 seats in there, but I think the concept of a sort of a four-man crew is pretty good. So they've been, you remember they were red and grey, I think they were, from the original kit they came from. I always find it useful when I'm using parts of other kits at the earliest opportunity to give them a coat of grey primer, because it just tends to blend everything together better, and it gives you a picture of how the finished thing is going to look. I've also painted the front seats. You notice these are on bamboo skewers. That's my preferred method of painting most parts, really. I'll normally drill a small hole in an area where it's not going to be seen, which that won't be because it's going to be up against that piece there, and I'll just insert a piece of or one of these skewers, and that allows me to handle them, spray them, do whatever, and then take them off and obviously add them to the kit. When I'm spraying lots of parts, I use a piece of this florist's foam, and there's the other seat on the skewer there, so I just stick it in there, and I'm normally spraying outside, so this is maybe in the kitchen. I'll just take each part outside, spray them, bring them back in. I do use a spray booth. I use an airbrush as well, but for stuff like this, it tends to be rattle cans and out in the yard. So there's the 2 seats. I can get that to sit in there. In fact, I think I haven't decided which way these are going yet. I think actually these are going this way. So the actual entry into the that's going to have to be glued down, I think. Yeah, it's not going to balance there, but the seats are going there anyway. So the other one is there. In fact, that one stands up. I did actually fill the back of the seat with a piece of that ribbed styrene, so that filled the hollow back as well, so that makes it look the part as well. So those seats are going to be sat there. This seat's in the back there, and that's the basic layout of the interior. This has had a coat of paint. This is the instrument panel. You can see the brass still on the back there. What I need to do with this now, I've got to decide on, this is going to have a coat of primer in the morning, and then I've got to decide on the colour scheme for this so I can get all this painted up. And once this is painted, I'll then add the decals to the various instruments. The holes in the brass, before the decals go on, I'll actually fill those with some crystal clear. I don't know if you've not used it before. It's this stuff. It's basically like a thick type of PVA, and you just apply it to the hole and it fills the hole, and then once it dries completely clear. But what it does do is it provides a smooth surface for the decal to go over the top, so that it doesn't get kind of sucked into the hole of the brass. So that'll be used on all the through holes where the lights are going to go. The other advantage to doing that then is that you can put tiny dots of Tamiya clear colours on the back of the brass, so that when you light it with a white LED, the lights will show up as different colours. So I'll go over that in a later video and show how that's done, and you'll see the effect that you get from that. So that's the instrument panel there. So I'd say this needs a coat of primer, and then I'll decide on what the interior colour is going to be. At the moment I'm thinking something fairly light, maybe like a pale green or something that looks like a kind of semi kind of military interior colour. You know, I did think maybe you think of the colour they use in the Russian jets, that very, very sort of vivid pale green. Might look a bit too much in this, so maybe I'll go for a slightly paler version. I don't want to do it white, but equally I don't want to do it grey, because I think grey is going to be too dark for this. It's going to hide everything that I've put into it. So I want something that will contrast against the exterior. So we'll see how we go with that. I've added a couple of little odds and ends of brass here. They're not going to be lit. They're just to give a little bit of relief to that flat surface. I've got lots and lots of etched brass. There's a box full of etched brass parts. These are all pieces that have been left over from other builds, you know, spare parts. I have had a few sent to me as samples, and these are off the Pilgrim Observer, the paragraphics kit. Paul very kindly sent me some extra copies of it to when I was sort of experimenting with it a while back. There's various other bits and pieces in here, lots of things that are just left over from other kits. So, you know, I never chuck anything away. And even the likes of the frets, I've used in the past that where these have had like a square part in, I've actually cut the frets away and cleaned them up and used those as a surround for maybe a viewing screen or something like that, because it gives a nice sharp edge. So it's always worth hanging on to these pieces, because you can use them for all kinds of things. You know, even just the little strips of brass in between, I've used those for framework and various other bits and pieces. Because anytime you're adding very fine detail to something, if you can do it in brass, it's a lot stronger than doing it in styrene. So it's always worth hanging on to those kind of pieces. So generally speaking, that's about as far as I've got with it so far. I might try assembling the running gear just to test fit it on the base. It comes with steel axles, so the axles will go through, and then this will the wheels will go either side. So I'll just test fit those to see if everything goes together okay, and then give this a coat of paint, and then all being well, I'll be on to detailing the interior with the parts that I'm going to add to it. So I'll see you on the next video. Okay, thanks.